Okay, so yesterday we were talking about solving proportions, and our procedure for solving proportions was to cross multiply. So today we're doing the same thing, same process. We're going to start by cross multiplying. However, today we're looking at quadratic proportions, and yesterday all we did were linear ones. Well, solve for x like always, okay? But today they're quadratic, so we have a different process to work on that. All of these say factor, and factor for me, my favorite is just to say double bubble. So go ahead, we're going to double bubble all of these problems, and as I go through, I'm writing down big lists of factors because that's the biggest problem. Write down the list. You'll thank me later, I promise. So all of these are double bubble. Factor means double bubble or unfoil. And so we have first times first should be the first thing. What times what gives me x squared? X times x. Are all of these going to be that way? Yes, they are. X times x gives me x squared. X times x. All of these get set up the exact same way because they all start with a 1x squared, every single one of them. So then the hard part is actually figuring out our factors. Last times last has to be the last thing, the positive 32. What times what is positive 32?
6 times
6 times, no, 8 times 4 is, or negative 8 times negative 4 is positive 32. Oh, 16. 16 times 2, or negative 16 times negative 2. Lots of factors there. Lots of factors. They all multiply to be positive 32. Which one is the winner? The second one?
Yeah, because you need 8 or negative 8 plus negative 4 is negative 12.
That's right. Negative 8 plus negative 4 gives us that negative 12 middle number, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going to pop in a negative 8 and a negative 4, and that is factored. All right. X minus 8 and x minus 4 are the bubbles, and you're done. You can always double check to make sure you did it right by multiplying them out together. All right, let's look at number B. Last times last has to be negative 18. What times what is negative 18? Negative 6 times 3 or negative 3 times 6?
You would want negative 3 times 6 because 6 minus 3 is 3.
Yeah, negative 3 and a positive 6 gives us a positive 3 when we add them. So pop in that negative 3 and the positive 6 and you're done. In my bubbles, the last position times last position is the last term. What times what is positive 4?
4 times 1.
4 times 1, or negative 4 times negative 1.
Right.
And also negative 2s. Lots of possibilities there. Which one do we want?
The top one.
Yes.
We want to keep positive.
Yep. Positive 4 and a positive 1 will give us that positive 5. So positive 4 and a positive 1. And done. Letter D. Last times last has to be negative 60. What times what is negative 60?
15 times 4.
Ooh, negative 15 times 4, or vice versa. What else? What else is 60? Negative 60.
30.
30 and 2. Negative 30 and positive 2. Negative 2 and positive 30. Good. What else? Oh, good. Negative 10 and positive 6, or negative 6 and positive 10.
That one.
Is that the winner?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Negative 6 and positive 10 give us a 4 when we add them up. So that's our winner. Negative 6 and a positive 10. And we done. Pen is dead. All right. Last times last has to be negative 16. What times what is negative 16?
Negative 8 times 2. That gives us negative 6.
All right, we've got negative 8 times 2. We've got negative 4 times 4, and vice versa, so, and you are right. Negative 8 and a positive 2 gives us that negative 6 we're looking for in the center. Negative 8 and positive 2. I'm out of blue. And last one, what times what is negative 30?
6 times 5.
Negative 10 times 3, negative 3 times 10, 6 times 5, negative 6 times 5, or negative 5 times 6? Negative 15 and 2. All right, which one's the winner?
Negative 5 times 6.
Negative 5 with a positive 6 would get us that positive 1 that we're looking for right there. So negative 5 and a positive 6, we pop in, and we're bubbled, double bubbled. All right, raise your hand if you think you got this double bubbling pattern. Not too bad? Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. That was fine too. I'll accept all. Okay, so today we have to use that in order to solve these questions today. So once again, we have proportions. So just like yesterday, do the exact same process. Anytime you have a proportion, a fraction equal to a fraction, we are going to cross multiply. So just like yesterday, we're going to cross multiply. I'm going to take my x and multiply it, and my x plus 5, and multiply it across the equal sign to the numerator. So I'm going to write, I'm always going to start with the side that has the most x's here. So I have the x times the quantity x plus 2, and that's going to be equal to 8 times the quantity x plus 5. Make sure you're using parentheses very carefully. Make sure you're using them properly. When you see all those parentheses, what do you know to do? Starts with a D. Distribute. Distribute. All right. X times x is?
X squared.
X squared. X times positive 2?
2x.
Positive 2x. 8 times x? 8x. And 8 times positive 5?
40.
Positive 40. Make sure you're taking notes, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, what makes these quadratic right here in this step? It is a quadratic equation. How do I know it's a quadratic equation? What's my big signal?
X squared.
The x squared. All right. Because of that x squared, the highest power is a 2. It makes it quadratic. It's a different shape. What we were doing yesterday was a straight line. X to the first is linear. It looks like a line. These are quadratic. They're the U parabola shape, okay? So, in order to solve a quadratic equation, we need to, step 2 here, step 2 is to set it equal to 0. Any higher order equation, anything with an x cubed or x to the 4th, anything higher order like that, always set equal to 0. Okay.
So would you want to bring the x to the other side?
Yeah.
So you isolate x squared?
Not isolate. We want it all together. We're going to move everything to the left.
Oh.
So I'm going to subtract 8x.
Oh, because you want everything to equal 0.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to move the 8x over to the left, Lily. And I'm going to subtract 40 over to the left-hand side. I'm pushing all the terms to the left-hand side towards the x squared. The positive 8x and negative 8x are 0, and positive 40 and negative 40 make a big fat 0 for us on the right-hand side.
So would you want to, like, square root everything?
No.
No?
So we have x squared, 2x, and a negative 8x is?
Negative 6x.
Negative 6x.
Minus 40.
And a minus 40. Now, guys, now, this looks very much like what we were just doing up above, where we have an x squared term and an x term and a number, plain old number. And so this is the third step. Our third step, once we get it set equal to 0, is to factor and solve. And we're done. And to factor means double bubble, so we're going to double bubble. Of course, if you wanted to, you could use the quadratic formula, but I don't. It's true. All right, so what times what gives me x squared?
4 times 10.
Ooh, not my question. What times what gives me x squared? X times x, good. Last times last has to be negative 40. What times what is negative 40?
Negative 10 plus 4.
Negative 10 and a positive 4. Negative 4, positive 10. Negative 2 times 20 might work. All right, which is the winner? The first one. A negative 10 and a positive 4 gets us that negative 6. Negative 10 and positive 4. Now we're not quite done because we have to do one more step, and that's to solve. Right here, we have a bubble times a bubble. And so we have this thing, a bubble times a bubble, and we want it to equal 0. This is called the zero product property. Curtis, move up one desk. Now. We have a bubble times a bubble, and we want it to equal 0. What that means is, if either bubble is 0, 0 times whatever this happens to be, it's still going to give us a 0 result. All we have to do is take our bubble, x minus 10, and we're going to set it equal to 0. And then we can solve for x. How do we get x by itself? Add 10.
So x equals 10.
So x equals 10. That's one of our answers. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other bubble. So x plus 4 gets set equal to 0. How do I get x by itself?
4.
Subtract 4. So we get x equals negative 4. Now look at those bubbles. We had x minus 10. And what was our solution?
0.
What was our solution for x?
X equals 10. So
X equals 10.
Put 10 where the x was.
Just the opposite.
Yeah.
So x plus 4 was our bubble originally, and what was our solution for x? Negative 4. Okay. You can sort of skip this middle part if you want. Okay. It's not hard, but it gets us to the solutions quicker. All right. Let's try another here. What's our first step? Cross multiply. All right. So we have x times the x plus 5 equals negative 6 times the quantity x plus 4. Well, what do we need to do next? Distribute. All right. X times x is x squared. X times 5, positive 5x. Negative 6 times x, negative 6x. And negative 6 times positive 4, negative 24. Good. All right, what do we need to do next? We want to set it equal to 0. We're going to move these terms over to the left-hand side. So I'm going to add the 6x with its friend, and I'm going to add 24 to move it to the left-hand side. That way, everything on the right is just a big fat 0. And what do we have on the left now? X squared plus what? 11x's. And a positive 24. Good. Now that we're set equal to 0, what are we going to do? Double bubble. Double bubble. It's much more fun to say than factor. Double bubble. All right. What times what is x squared? X times x. And then last times last has to be positive 24. What times what is going to give us a positive 24?
5 times.
8 and 3, 4 times 6, 12 times 2, 24. Lots of options there. Which one do we want?
8,
3. 8 and 3. Why?
Because 8 plus 3 is 11 and I rolled positive.
8 plus 3 gives us that positive 11 we're looking for. All right, so we have a positive 8 and a positive 3 we're going to put into our bubbles. All right, if the bubble is x plus 8, what's the solution for x?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. And if it's x plus 3, what's our solution for x?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Done. All right, it seems long, but it actually goes really quick once you're on your own. It's not bad once you get on your own. We're going to do one more, and then we'll be done. Cross multiply here. We have x times the quantity x minus 6 equals negative 5 times the quantity x minus 4. Then we need to do what? Distribute. All right, x times x is x squared. X times negative 6? Negative 6x, good. Negative 5 times x? Negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 4?
It'd be negative 5 times 4 is the solution for it.
Oh, hold the phone. Positive 20. Way ahead of me, Brian. All right, we got to push everything to the left-hand side. So I'm going to add the 5x, add the 5x. I'm going to subtract the 20, so that I get a big 0 on the right-hand side. So I have x squared, negative 6x's and positive 5x's is negative 1x minus 20. From here, we're going to double bubble. X times x is x squared. What times what is negative 20?
Negative 5 times 4.
Negative 5 times 4.
And that is the answer.
Negative 5 times positive 4. Those are our bubbles.
And then it'd be x equals 5 and x equals negative 4.
Good. X equals positive 5 and x equals negative, 4 for our solutions. All right, any questions for me? Okay, remember on part 3, just like we did yesterday, math frac your answer though. Leave it as an exact answer, not a decimal you round off. Okay? Delta math. There's room on the back of this paper, so I do encourage you to do your work on the back side, or a separate paper is fine as well, but you do have a delta math. And make sure you turn in your homework 1 from yesterday.